all individual, the soul, representative of the central being, is a spark of the divine, support.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है। योगेश
of
भाई।
that soul
हाँ।
of that soul growing in the evolution, in the persistent process that develops first life and matter, mind and life, until finally mind can develop into overmind and overmind into the supramental truth. The soul supports the nature in its evolution through these grades, but is itself not any of these things. The lower nature, apara prakriti, is this external objective and superficial, subjective, apparent nature which manifests all these minds, lives, and bodies. The supreme nature, para prakriti, concealed behind it, is the very nature of the divine, a supreme consciousness force which manifests the multiple divine as the many. These many are in themselves eternal selves of the supreme in his supreme nature, para prakriti. Here, in relation to this world, they appear as the jivatmas supporting the evolution of the natural existences, sarva bhutani, in the mutable becoming, which is the life of the shara, mobile or mutable purusha. The jiva, also jivatma, and the creatures, sarva bhutani, are not the same thing. The jivatmas really stand above the creation, even though in it. The natural existences, sarva bhutani, are the creatures of nature. Man, bird, beast, reptile are natural existences, but the individual self in them is not even for a moment characteristically man, bird, beast, or reptile. In its evolution, it is the same through all these changes, a spiritual being that consents to the play of nature.
Next paragraph also.
Yeah, okay. What is original and eternal forever in the divine is the being. What is developed in consciousness, conditions, forces, forms, etc., by the divine power is the becoming. The eternal divine is the being. The universe in time and all that is apparent in it is a becoming. The eternal being, in its superior nature, para prakriti, is at once one and many. But the eternal multiplicity of the divine, when it stands behind the created existences, sarva bhutani, appears as, or as we say, becomes the jiva. That is the meaning.
Can't hear you.
That is the meaning of the para prakritir jiva bhuta. In the psychic, on the other hand, these are two aspects: the psychic existence or soul behind, and in front, the form of individuality it takes in its evolution in nature.
Right. So, as it seems, he is explaining the terms which he has coined, terms like psychic being, in comparison to the terms that are there in the Bhagavad Gita. So, इसमें जितने भी ये संस्कृत के फ्रेजेस आए हैं अब तक, सर्वभूतानि, क्षर पुरुष, परा प्रकृतिर जीवभूता, these are all from the Gita. Sharah Sarvani Bhutani, that is from the 15th chapter of the Gita, that the mutable Purusha is all these beings or becomings. How you take the word depends on you. 15.16. And Para Prakritir Jiva Bhuta, that is the higher nature which has become the Jiva. That is from 7.5 of the Gita. So basically, he's correlating these terms of the Gita with his own integral yoga terminology. Okay, so we had matlab, gone tried to go deeper till this point. That is the meaning of the Paraprakriti Jiva Bhuta. We have to resume from here. So he's saying, in the psychic, on the other hand, there are two aspects. So when he says on the other hand, he's meaning the psychic in comparison to the. Am I audible?
Anmol, I can't hear.
Okay. Can I be
Anmol
heard?
bhai, can you please repeat because we lost you in between at
I
least.
know. I don't know what happened. Zoom just restarted.
Oh.
But I am audible now, right?
If you can please repeat whatever you said
I have to
earlier.
first. The screen also would have gone. I have to share it again, na?
It is gone.
Yeah. 1 minute. ये दूसरी बार
And
तो आएगा.
Anmol, that recording also you have reinitiated.
अच्छा. Okay. Recording is going on. Maybe that part of the recording separately आ जाएगा. This one will come separately. I actually just installed the new version of Macintosh OS, but that should not do this. Anyway, I don't know. I'll say it again. Till this point, he has been उतना तो मैंने, that तो need not be repeated. When he says in the psychic, on the other hand, there are two aspects: the psychic existence or soul behind, and in front, the form of individuality it takes in its evolution in nature. Okay, so this he's saying by on the other hand, he means in comparison to the Jivatman. All right. In the psychic, on the other hand, there are two aspects: the psychic existence or soul behind. So one of the things which we are doing in this study is कि जो terms उन्होंने दिए हैं for these three entities, we are kind of putting them together in our mind somewhere. So here for the soul, जिसको पहले उन्होंने spark soul भी कहा था, he is using the word psychic existence. Okay. Another term that he uses for that is simply psyche, Psyche. Okay. So in the psychic, on the other hand, there are two aspects: the psychic existence or soul behind, and in front, the form of individuality it takes in its evolution in nature. यहाँ पे he's saying the form of individuality. Earlier he has said it is the spiritual individual put forth by the spark soul. ठीक है, psychic personality, soul personality, psychic being. These are all terms referring to the same thing. The most general term that is used for that is psychic being. All right. So this much is clear. Next, the soul or psychic is immutable only in the sense that it contains all the possibility of the divine within it. Okay. Now he is meaning the जो behind वाली चीज कह रहे थे पिछले सेंटेंस में, the psychic existence or soul. All right. यहाँ पे वो उसको simply psychic बोल रहे हैं. Is not specifying psychic existence or spark soul or psychic entity. He's simply calling it psychic. But soul word से clear हो जाता है that he is referring to that. So the soul or psychic is immutable, unchanging. Immutable means unchanging, only in the sense that it contains all the possibility of the divine within it. Right? The key here, all the possibility of the divine. उसकी सारी संभावनाएं साइकिक के अंदर, सोल के अंदर अंतर्निहित है. ठीक है. This, why I am saying this, to resolve the doubt कि sometimes when we say we are a portion or this is a partial manifestation of the divine, it can appear that we are from the beginning, from the very start, there is a kind of limitation imposed upon us. ऐसा नहीं है. All the possibilities of the divine are there within us. Okay? And through our evolution, yoga hastens the evolution, all those possibilities come out. And this is the purpose of evolution, to discover all those possibilities, to basically reveal all those possibilities. Yes, Dhaval bhai.
तो अनमोल भाई ईशा उपनिषद का जो नॉट ईशा उपनिषद बट उसके पहले जो हम बोलते हैं ओम पूर्णम अद पूर्णम
Correct.
that exactly applies here, no? Because
Correct.
okay,
Purnam adaha means that is Purnam.
that
Purnam idam.
This
means
is-
this is
this
Purnam.
is complete.
This is Purnam. Purnat Purnam Udachyate. It is one of the most important shlokas in the Upanishadic literature. बृहदारण्यक में आता है. One of the, ये तो मतलब एटलीस्ट हर किसी को याद होना ही चाहिए, और कोई याद हो ना हो, I'll just say it. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णम उदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवा वशिष्यते. I remember reading a translation of this by Sri Aurobindo. I'll share it, English translation, but very simply, Purnam Adaha, that is Purnam. Purnam Idam, this is Purnam. Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Purnat is Panchmi Ekvachan, from the Purnam. So Purnat Purnam Udachyate. पूर्ण से पूर्ण ही निकलता है. उदच्यते, उद माने ऊपर आना, मतलब बाहर आना, like that. पूर्णात पूर्णम उदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णम आदाय. And when you take out the purna from the purna, purnasya of the purnam, purnasya purnam adaya purnam eva. Eva is for stress, indeed. Avashishyate. Avashishyate means that which remains. Avashesh. जो हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना अवशेष.
अवशेष, remainder.
Remainder, correct. So
actually divine mathematics, yeah, even in mathematics,
Exactly.
if you do 0 minus 0, you still get 0.
Yes.
Only it is applicable for 0 and infinity in mathematics, but
Yes.
not other
Sri Aurobindo,
numbers.
correct. Sri Aurobindo has coined a term for this in the Life Divine. I'm saying coined because, I mean, I have not read actually any other proper philosophical book. I read it first time in Life Divine. He calls it the logic of the infinite.
Yeah, the mathematics or the something of the, yeah, yes, he
Logic
says
of the infinite.
logic
That is
of-
the phrase he uses in the Life Divine. So Purnam would normally translate as full or complete. Another word which you can use, little extent one has to do in one's mind for Purnam, is infinite. Okay, it's very important word to remember. I mean, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, ये सच्चिदानंद का ऑब्जेक्टिव फॉर्म है. दिस फॉर्मूला, सत्यम ज्ञानम अनंतम ब्रह्म, truth is infinite by definition. Truth, infinity, knowledge, Brahman or divine. If we forget this, then we are forgetting the most basic sutra of Adhyatma Vidya. In a sense, one can say this. Okay, infinity, उसका sense वो कभी lose नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है? So to come back, the soul or psychic is immutable only in the sense that it contains all the possibility of the divine within it. Okay, but this, it has to evolve. As I said earlier, the word evolve literally means outrolling. अगर आप गूगल पे जाएं, उसकी एटिमोलॉजी देखें, तो ई का वर्ड होता है आउट. ई इज वन ऑफ दोस प्रीफिक्सेस. ई और एक्स, इन दोनों का मतलब होता है बाहर. वॉल्वेर, VOLVER, उसका मतलब होता है रोल. तो इवॉल्व लिटरली मींस आउटरोलिंग. जो अंदर पहले से इन्वॉल्व था, इनरोल्ड था, उसका बाहर निकलना. ठीक है? सो बट दिस, इट हैज टू इवॉल्व, एंड इन इट्स इवोल्यूशन it assumes the form of a developing psychic individual. Yeah. So as those possibilities come out of the soul or psychic, those unrollings, those manifestations, those things which come out of it, basically, they take the form of a developing psychic individual. that psychic, as it evolves from within itself, जो भी possibilities, potentialities उसके अंदर contained हैं, it assumes the form of a developing psychic individual. Now here you have to contrast the word developing here with the word immutable in the first sentence. So ये वाला. So the soul or psychic is immutable, अच्छा, only in the sense, okay, that it contains all possibility. Whereas the psychic individual, it is something which develops, right? The form of a developing psychic individual evolving in the manifestation, the individual prakriti, and taking part in the evolution. What is prakriti? Body, mind, life. Anna, prana, mana. Okay. So whatever mental personalities, vital personalities, bodily personalities, we assume from life to life, and they themselves keep evolving, isn't it? The body keeps changing constantly, the mind keeps growing, the vital keeps expanding, right? So in its evolution, it assumes the form of a developing psychic individual evolving in the manifestation, the individual prakriti, and taking part in the evolution. It is the spark of the divine fire that grows behind. Again, is referring to the soul, the spark soul, the क्या बोला था पिछले उसमें उन्होंने, basically the psychic existence, that term he had used. It is the spark of the divine fire, capital D, capital F, is referring, I mean, to the divine as fire. That's why F is complete. Okay. Sorry, capital. It is the spark of the divine fire that grows behind the mind, vital and physical, by means of the psychic being. अब यहाँ पे लैंग्वेज का बस थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है. पिछले सेंटेंस में उन्होंने कहा है इट अज्यूम्स द फॉर्म ऑफ अ डेवलपिंग साइकिक इंडिविजुअल. यहाँ पे वो क्या कह रहे हैं कि ये जो सोल है इट ग्रोज बाय मींस ऑफ द साइकिक बी. कैन appear slightly different in understanding, but ये धीरे धीरे this will come with growth of consciousness as the mind will become silent. And one of the easiest ways, I should say, of making the mind silent is to read Sri Aurobindo's books. उसे अपने आप the mind falls into a kind of quietude. There is that spiritual shakti in these words, in these books, which makes the mind silent. If you cannot read for too long, try to read for 10 minutes a day. It's one of the simpler ways of quieting your mind, right? So it is the spark of the divine fire that grows behind the mind, vital and physical, by means of the psychic being, by means of this developing psychic individual, until उसका पर्पस क्या है ग्रोथ का? It is able to transform the prakriti of ignorance into a prakriti of knowledge. Okay. Now, normally, ignorance and knowledge, we say ignorance is darkness, knowledge is light, right? But psychologically, Sri Aurobindo defines ignorance as the state where you lose the consciousness of oneness, of unity. That is the definition of ignorance, and that is the cause of all trouble. अभी से बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट का खबर आया दिल्ली का. Essentially, अगर हम देखें, what is the root cause of this kind of stupidity? Ultimate root cause, sense of separateness. These are people are belonging to a different religion. We are belonging to a different religion, and we have the right to assert ourselves and like that. So ये बहुत important point है, and it is not, I mean, at least I had not known of it till I read it in the Isha Upanishad volume of Sri Aurobindo. Ignorance is defined as the loss of the consciousness of unity, avidya. ठीक है? विद्या वर्ड है, विद धातु से आता है, विद मीन्स टू नो. Okay, So there are other 4 meanings of word with, but here it means to know. And knowledge is defined as the consciousness of unity. So when we are functioning, वही जो the self, those 3 states now from the top अगर हम शुरू करें, so everything is the self, the everything is in the self, and the self is in everything. Okay, verse number 6 and 7 of the Isha Upanishad, right? Very important, because this is the goal of Adhyatma, to attain that oneness. To feel love and oneness is to live. Sri Aurobindo says on the last page of Savitri, page 724, right? So it's an important point, that's why I reiterated. Until it is able to transform the prakriti of ignorance into a prakriti of knowledge. Now you could say this prakriti of ignorance is what is called the apara prakriti in the Gita, Bhagavad Gita. That which is tied together by the threads of ego. Okay, and the prakriti of knowledge is the para prakriti, the higher nature, the divine mother. All right. This evolving psychic being is not, therefore, at any time all that the soul or essential psychic existence bears within it. हाँ, क्योंकि in the soul or essential psychic existence all the possibilities are there. ठीक है? But in the evolving psychic being, those possibilities are coming out. That is what he means here. This evolving psychic being is not, therefore, at any time all that the soul or essential psychic existence bears within it. Let's apply it to ourselves. So our soul or psychic existence is having all the possibilities of the divine within it, right? This phrase here, ye wala. Okay, but as we are, as psychic beings, as psychic individuals, all those possibilities have not come out, and there is no limit to those possibilities. All that infinite omnipotence, all that infinite omniscience, etc. Ananda is the main thing. You can have omnipotence, you can have omniscience and everything, but अगर उसमें आनंद ही नहीं है तो फिर उसका क्या फायदा? There is no use for it, right? So it has not come out. Therefore, the psychic being is in the process of bringing them out. It's just incredible how clearly and with such a hairline, demarcation and distinction he's telling all this. I mean, pata nahi whether it is possible to get such a clear idea in any other spiritual literature. Maybe not, most probably not. Anyway, so again, second part of the sentence, it temporalizes. Temporalize का मतलब होता है in time. इसका मतलब होता है in time, as opposed to eternal or permanent, which is beyond time. Okay, so it temporalizes and individualizes. ये थोड़ा सा complex sentence है. It temporalizes and individualizes what is eternal in potentiality. Eternal in potentiality in the soul or psychic existence. Okay, transcendent in essence. Because the soul is essentially free. वो immutable है essentially. It is free. It is transcendent. It existed before this terrestrial manifestation began. How it existed? It existed in the form of the Jivatma, of whom it is a projection here. Okay. It temporalizes and individualizes what is eternal in potentiality, transcendent in essence. Now, for our own gain, personal, individual liberation gain point of view, essentially we are transcendent. That is what it means. In that part of our being, in other words, there is something in us which is absolutely and perfectly free. वो बंध ही नहीं सकती है. It is impossible for it to get bound because its nature is freedom. Its nature is transcendence and perfect freedom. It chooses of its own sweet will to you could say, bind itself in a human body, in a terrestrial body, that it does for the sake of manifesting all its potentialities in this, mortal world, which is the opposite of its nature. That is a challenge it has thrown to itself. Sri Aurobindo calls it, on the first page of Savitri, he calls it the adventure of consciousness. Okay. That is also the phrase which is taken in his most famous biography by Satprem, Sri Aurobindo or the Adventure of Consciousness. Whoever has not read it, blindly it can be recommended. It is one of the most amazing books on Sri Aurobindo, right? So, transcendent in essence. Essentially, we are transcendent. This is this is a personal point we can take from this phrase. Okay. In this projection of the spirit.
Anmol,
Yes.
in this last three words, 4 words, projection of the spirit,
Yeah.
right? So the spirit is also there and the projection is also there.
Projection
So while
is,
we are reading this, if we, instead of thinking that it is all of us as individuals, if we think that it is that one soul consciousness, it is that soul
Correct.
spark,
correct.
which is enabling all of this conversation happening. And if we are in that consciousness, then simultaneously the wisdom, or as it says, the prakriti of knowledge, that is the one which is experiencing,
That is the
and this projection, which is all of us as separate individuals
Yeah.
listening to this, where we have a mind, we have a energy body and a physical body,
life.
but it is all being captured in the presence of that. So
Exactly.
this understanding that both of them are existing, if it could be constantly, if it was always on,
When you are
not
mukta,
just when we learned
it
this
becomes
class.
constant. Correct.
Correct.
If it
Correct.
becomes constant, that is what is called Brahmi Sthiti in the Gita, Jivan Mukta.
Perfect. Thanks.
And that is the purpose of these sessions. The slow growth of these consciousness, only in these sessions, we are trying कि वो थोड़ा और intensify हो. That is the purpose.
And unfortunately, it is only when these classes happen that this clarity, and
See,
1 week goes by, and again we start
it's a-
reflecting on it, and again we lose it. It's amazing how quickly it goes away, and it's how
Because-
beautiful it comes together.
Because it's not easy. इसी को अध्यात्म विद्या विद्या नाम. इसको ये बहुत सूक्ष्म विद्या है. This is the subtlest of all things. It is the essence of essences ना. तो वो इतनी subtle चीज है वो पकड़ में नहीं आती. It just falls off like water from a slippery surface. So that's why, dhriti, that is the word, perseverance, dhriti, पकड़ के रखना है उसको. So there is no other way. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. It can be caught hold of only through constant practice and detachment. That is the
Right.
solution given by the Gita.
Thanks.
This, जो मैंने quote किया is from somewhere in the 6th chapter. Right? Next. The central being is the being which presides over the different births, one after the other, but is itself unborn. For it does not descend into the being, but is above it. It holds together the mental, vital, and physical being and all the various parts of the personality, and it controls the life either through the mental being and the mental thought and will, or through the psychic, whichever may happen to be most in front or most powerful in action. If it does not exercise its control, then the consciousness is in great disorder, and every part of the personality acts for itself, so that there is no coherence in the thought, feelings, or action. So the central being, by that he means the Jivatman. Okay. The English phrase which he uses for this is central being, is the being which presides over the different births. जैसा मैंने पहले कहा था, the word preside संस्कृत में president अध्यक्ष, adhi means ऊपर से, aksha means देखना. Okay, which presides over the different births one after the other, but is itself unborn. So it presides over the different births. ये उसी के births हैं, but it itself is unborn. The word for unborn in the Gita, ajah, 2.20. Najayate mriyate va kadachit नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. It's not born, it does not die, etc. 2.20 कई बार उसको हम पहले शेयर कर चुके हैं यहाँ पे. For it does not descend into the being, very clearly. It is the soul which descends, which is present inside us. The central being does not descend. Okay? It does not descend into the being, but is above it. अच्छा, it holds together. ये अब एक थोड़ी सी नई नॉलेज आ रही है जो अब तक we had not gotten it clearly. It holds together the mental, vital, and physical being and all the various parts of the personality, and it controls the life either through the mental being and the mental thought and will. Basically, something of the mental Manomaya Purusha. Okay? It controls the life either through the mental being and the mental thought and will, or through the psychic being, whichever may happen to be most in front or most powerful in action. So, broadly, if you want to say, two kinds of people are there. One are those who listen to the deeper intuition in the heart, the deeper feeling in the heart. They can be said to be controlled, governed, to some extent or to depends ki kitna hai by the psychic being. Okay, and the other, who are using their mental being and mental thought, they are being governed by that. So through either of these, either through the mental being and the mental thought and will, basically the sattvic buddhi, okay, or through the psychic, whichever may happen to be most in front or most powerful in action. Through either of these, the central being controls the life.
Very key sentence, Anmol bhai.
Very
This
key
is
sentence. Very key sentence. Very key.
क्योंकि इसमें about 2 sessions पहले I think I had only asked this question कि how does it control? Can it even psychic can override mental? तो यहाँ इसका जवाब मिल जाता है कि
Yeah.
whichever is most powerful in action or whichever is more front, whatever is needed for that
Whichever may happen to be most in front.
हाँ
Psychic को बाहर लाने, to bring the psychic being forward and make it more powerful, it requires sadhana of some kind. Without sadhana, it does not come out. So naturally, in that case, it will be like most human beings, who can deserve to be called human beings. It is through the mental being and mental thought and will that the central being will be controlling the manifestation, the individual manifestation, right?
तो अनमोल भाई you mentioned intuition, पर ये intuition तो ऊपर वाला है, right?
नहीं,
ऊपर से
मैंने
आता है.
इसीलिए कहा था the deeper intuition. That's why I use the word deeper intuition.
अच्छा.
By a deeper feeling, I said. By a deeper feeling.
हाँ, deeper feeling, correct. हाँ.
I'm using the word, strictly speaking, you are right. Intuition Sri Aurobindo uses for higher mind, illumined mind के बाद वाले को intuitive mind बोलते हैं. That is correct.
हाँ, तो ये feeling जो deep feeling में आता है, those who listen to heart, as you said, right?
Yeah.
That's a very concrete example.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can call it psychic intuition if you want. है तो essentially वही चीज ना, वो आ कहाँ से रहा है ultimately, सारा आ तो ऊपर से ही रहा है ना.
And you should never negate that, because
No.
that causes when mind overrides that heart feeling, you land up in big troubles.
Yeah, मतलब there will be meanderings.
Meanderings and very strange kinds.
नहीं, but if you are following the, ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर आप अपनी सात्विक बुद्धि को, mental thought वगैरह को follow कर रहे हैं, you will not go too much astray. People go astray when they don't follow either of the two, when they follow the vital or the physical. जब वो desires governed होते हैं. That is the difference in the Gita between the Deva and the Asura in the 16th chapter.
But Anmol bhai, I'm just sharing my personal experience here, that when that feeling from the heart comes, no amount of mental justification works.
Correct.
At that time. It somehow
overrides.
So even though you may have the sattvic buddhi, I don't know, at least I don't have that much high level, but वो justify नहीं हो पाता वो rationality.
Correct. Because it is matlab higher than that. It is having a more direct it is having a direct connection with the divine.
That it just, you just feel that you have to do it, and
Correct.
that's it. There's
Correct.
nothing beyond that. Like,
Correct. But the caveat in that is always, the caveat is there that there are many inner voices within ourselves, because the human personality is not so simple. It is quite complex, and one should learn to distinguish that voice of the psychic being from the other voices. Sri Aurobindo इसीलिए Life Divine में he says there is the desired soul, and that is the true soul. Usually it is the desired soul which camouflages itself as the, matlab, not usually but often it camouflages itself as the soul. वो desires हैं, you want that, and if you would not have it, you would feel very sad, and वही, you know, ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषु पजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते etc. Right?
No, but
But वो
desire soul you can
camouflage ऐसे करेगा,
distinguish, no? Isn't it? Can you not distinguish easily?
you can distinguish.
हाँ.
All I am saying is कि
हाँ.
बस किसी को ऐसे रूल बोल दिया या बोल दिया कि listen to your inner voice. अब inner voice, again it depends कि how clear the consciousness is, how free the person is from the impurity of desire, basically. That's all. मैं केवल वो एक necessary caveat है इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ, otherwise
हाँ, समझ गया मैं, but नहीं, desire soul, that's an important word as well. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
ठीक है. So
Anmol, just one point here.
yes sir.
Even when the person is getting controlled by desire, actually the button or the control is in the hands of the Jivatma, as per the previous line. Because it says that is the one which is controlling. If I read that line,
not really. That is what is there in the last sentence. So if it does not exercise its control, ठीक है? मतलब if it is not able to exercise its control, which it chiefly does either through the mental being or through the psychic being, ठीक है? If it does not exercise its control, the vital being has gone berserk, basically. It has taken you on a big ego trip and all that. Then the consciousness is in great disorder, and every part of the personality acts for itself, so that there is no coherence in the thought, feelings or action.
Oh my God.
इसीलिए in the, exactly, it's very scary, but you know, इसीलिए in the 16th chapter of the Gita, when the Asuric Prakriti is described, so one of the things which is said there is कि उनको ये नहीं पता होता कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है. संस्कृत मुझे, हाँ, प्रवृत्तिम च निवृत्तिम च जनान विदुरासुराः. किस चीज में हम प्रवृत्त हो, दिस इज 16.7. व्हाट इज द थिंग इन विच वी शुड एंगेज अवरसेल्व्स, एंड किस चीज से हम निवृत्त हो, कि व्हाट इज द थिंग फ्रॉम विच वी शुड विड्रॉ. दे डू नॉट नो. न जना, sorry, न विदुः असुराः.
No, Vidu means Vidu, he doesn't know.
Vidu means to know. Yeah, like that.
But Anmol bhai, I'm a bit confused now here. In the first sentence, you said adhyaksha, right? Adhi plus ikshate, ikshita, to
इच्छा
look.
नहीं है, वहां पे अक्षा वर्ड है.
अक्षा है, okay. So
मीनाक्षी बोलते हैं ना, the fish eyed, मीना प्लस अक्षी. So the word, वो दोनों का इक्ष का भी मतलब वही होता है, अक्ष का भी वही होता है, तो that's okay.
Because each means to look, right?
इक्षते योगा युक्तात्मा.
हाँ, इक्षते योगा युक्तानाम, correct. So now the words that we came across is presides, we came across adhyaksha. So now all these mean that it is still looking. ऐसा नहीं है, but
it is looking.
हाँ,
but
तो preside करना मतलब क्या हुआ? I'm also under control. The button, as Yogesh bhai said, is always in the hand.
I think what it means is in order for it to exercise its control, it can act through the mental being and mental thought and will, जैसे बोला है, or through the psychic. ठीक है? Either through that sattvic buddhi or through that deeper feeling and intuition. ठीक है? But if both of them are being overridden by the desires or physical nature, basically if that asuric nature has become too strong, okay, then this is what happens. The consciousness is in great disorder, and every part of the personality acts for itself, so that there is no coherence in the thought, feelings or action. जैसे कुछ लोग पागल हो जाते हैं. Some people lose their mind. So that is what has happened. कि
Ah.
either they are simply undeveloped, उनका evolution ही उतना नहीं हुआ है, ठीक है, or they indulge their desire being, that vital being, उसकी endless कामम आश्रित्य दुष्पूरम, कामम आश्रित्य दुष्पूरम. So वो किस चीज का आश्रय ले रहे हैं? दुष्पूरम कामम का. वो दुष्पूरम माने that which is very difficult to fulfill. तो वो पूरा हो ही नहीं सकता और आप ये करो वो करो पीछे लगे रहो कंटिन्यूसली, यू विल फॉल, आप बिल्कुल गर्त में गिर जाओगे, एज इट इज सेड, यू नो. और उसमें वो आता है क्षिपाम्य जस्रम अशुभान, अल्टीमेटली उसमें इट्स अ वेरी मतलब स्ट्रॉन्ग वर्ड्स इन द गीता कि दे फॉल इनटू दोस आसुरिक बर्थ्स लाइक दैट, you know. I think this is what he means here.
So that means if now it beautifully you explained this part, because it now it makes sense, because you just mentioned that it can only I mean this line mentioned that it can only act through
Exactly.
psychic being, or
I'm highlighting it here. It
or
controls the life either through the mental being and the mental thought and will, or through the psychic. ठीक है?
हाँ, ये precondition है, मतलब ये this
Yes.
is how it acts, and
Yes.
therefore if you dwell in your physical, मतलब like Ravana who dwell in his vital and
Vital.
physical,
Vital.
or physical, no, also physical.
Yeah,
because,
physical also. He was
if
he
you
was raping women. I mean, I have this thing. He raped an apsara, and that is when people don't know some of these things. उसका ज्यादा हिस्ट्री पता नहीं है. So though he was a great पंडित and all, वो सब भी ठीक है. तांडव स्तोत्र उसका लिखा हुआ है. He raped an apsara and then he was cursed. कि now he was cursed by somebody. I don't remember whom. Maybe the apsara herself. Now, if you touch a woman against her will, then your head will split into 1,000 pieces or something. That is why he did not violate Sita Mata. Otherwise, what was there stopping him? It was that fear of that curse which was stopping him.
अच्छा.
और नहीं तो क्या?
So now this all these things make sense, because a materialist dwells in his physical and largely physical, right?
Yeah.
Outward personality. And vital will be those
Vital driven by ambitions,
desires, jealousy, and other.
इसको वो बोलते हैं
greed. हाँ.
Yeah, there is a word अभी slipping my mind right now. Grandeur, खुद का ना grandiose.
Self-aggrandization.
Self-aggrandizement, correct.
Yeah.
Self-aggrandizement.
Yeah, beautiful. This now it completes. अभी समझ में आया ये
This
क्या
is
है.
considered as a disorder. It's a disorder also, Anmol.
Yes.
Psychologically.
Which one?
This to talk
Megalomania.
about yourself.
The word is megalomania.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Trump.
हाँ, he is a megalomaniac. इसमें ज्यादा शक नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है, shall we move forward?
Yeah, thanks. This is beautiful.
This paragraph starts with the central being is the being which presides over the different births one after the other, but it's itself unborn, right?
Yeah.
Now, even the guy who's done this disastrous act of exploding bombs and killing people, he is also being controlled by the central being, because Ishvara says, "Hai
He's
to
not
ek
being
hi."
controlled. He has a central being which is presiding. वो ऊपर से देख रहा है, ठीक है? But obviously, if he has reached the point of exploding bombs, that means that he is not under the control of his central being. He is under the control of his vital being, which has become very destructive. It has become tamasic. Tamas is the guna of destruction. तो वो उस लेवल पे आ चुका है because of his brainwashing and indoctrination and everything. He is and वो religion का बहाना होता है. Ultimately, what they also want to do is to enjoy the world. Either they want to have hegemony over this world, or they want to have 72 virgins in heaven. So, it's not very selfless in the name of religion. वो सब कहने की बातें हैं. So it is that asuric nature which is described in the 16th chapter of the Gita. और कुछ नहीं.
And even Anmol bhai, in Islam, they consider women as an object, which is completely meaning dhyayato vishayan pumsa, as you said.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they cover them from head to toe with that burqa system, right?
Yeah, exactly. इनफैक्ट आई मीन ऐसी बातें बोलनी नहीं चाहिए, बट द कॉमन हिंदी वर्ड औरत, इट मीन्स द फीमेल जेनिटेलिया एक्चुअली.
Really?
यस,
In
आप
Urdu,
गूगल
it
करके देख
means
लेना.
that?
We should stop using that word. Yes, it means that. It means the female genitalia.
Oh, shucks. Because I know tashrif is the
Yes,
back.
yes. Let's not go too much into
Yeah,
this.
the Urdu
That is
Urdu
what the
word.
word औरत means. That I know
Oh,
for sure. मैंने कई बार check किया.
oh
Even
my
I've
God.
witnessed, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
ठीक है,
Oh,
चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं.
yeah.
So,
So one question before you move to the next paragraph.
yes, sir.
So if the Jivatman cannot establish control, that means over the tamasic aspect and the physical, then how will transformation happen? Because in our yoga, transformation of physical also is necessary.
Transformation वगैरह की बात तो तब आएगी ना, when there is something collaborating with the central being. So,
Ah,
like in this case, when it has become so destructive, nothing to do. You have to let the thing go on. जैसा वो होगा, it will reach its inevitable conclusion, and go through a very very purgatory process in those afterworlds. And then
हाँ.
जो भी होगा फिर होगा. We can't say, पूरा तो हम नहीं बता सकते ऐसे. We can't say.
नहीं, true, but हाँ.
Basically a strong repentance will come, and then there will be a coming back to the normal state, and then once the central being can start controlling, then there will be the gradual upward movement.
Ah.
It will have to wait till the such point. There will be terrible suffering because the total identification is with the vital. So
हाँ, exactly. हाँ,
नरकों का
हाँ.
description है. There is a description in the Puranas of the different. In the Vishnu Puran, there is a whole chapter on narka. Different काम करने से you experience this kind of hell. So you will go through that hell. Actually, not even figuratively or just like that.
Oh.
Right?
So
Shall we move forward?
basically, I think involve these people
Yes.
who are just be bombing वगैरह की जो बहुत बात की है,
Yes.
they are on the at the lower ranks of the
Absolutely.
evolution of their
Absolutely.
psychic being.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very undeveloped psychic being. All cruelty,
Yes.
all extreme kind of selfishness is a sign of a very crude and undeveloped psychic being. Right? Okay. Next. The psychic is not above. अब फिर वो contrast कर रहे हैं with the central being. Okay. So in contrast to the central being, the psychic is not above, but behind. Its seat is behind the heart. When he means heart, he does not mean the physical organ. He means the yogic heart. The word heart, in fact, comes from the Sanskrit word hrit. English में अगर लिखेंगे HRIT. So that is a inner region within the consciousness. ईश्वरः कुत्र तिष्ठति? ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशे तिष्ठति. Where does the Lord reside? The Lord resides in the heart of all existences. Right? The psychic is not above but behind. Its seat is behind the heart. अब ये बहुत important है. Its power is not knowledge, but an essential or spiritual feeling. You can even just pause here. Its power is not knowledge, but an essential or spiritual feeling. That is why, I mean, at other places in his letters, Sri Aurobindo says when this kind of feelings emerge from within you, you should not let your mental being or, mental vital being ka combination doubt that feeling, because it is coming from the deeper psychic being within you. Its power is not knowledge, but an essential or spiritual feeling. See, it has the clearest sense of the truth. That's why जो धवल भाई बोल रहे थे कि वो override कर जाता है, because it has the clearest sense of the truth. आप उसको फॉलो करने को एक तरह से बेबस हो जाएंगे. आपको उसको फॉलो करना ही पड़ेगा. अगेन वो इम्पोज नहीं करता है. That is the thing with the psychic being. Until it becomes very strong, it does not impose itself. It gives a kind of indication. If you listen to it, all right. If you don't listen to it, maybe once or twice more it will suggest. If not, it will draw back and wait for its time. That is usually the nature. This is मदर ने भी ये चीज बताई है एक जगह पे. Okay, it has the clearest sense of the truth and a sort of inherent perception of it, which is of the nature of soul feeling. Inherent perception of truth, okay, which is of the nature of soul feeling. Next, it is our inmost being. So Sri Aurobindo says there is an outer being, there is an inner being, and this is the inmost being. Sanskrit में अगर कहेंगे तो probably the word would be antartama, inmost. It is our inmost being and supports all the others, mental, vital, physical, but यही तो problem है. It is also much veiled by them. वो उनके द्वारा ढका रहता है, आवृत रहता है. आवृत is the Sanskrit word. Much veiled by them. And has to act upon them as an influence. केवल प्रभाव मात्र हो रहा है. Has to act upon them as an influence rather than by its sovereign right of direct action. This is kind of the problem of human nature. कि जो sovereign है, जो राजा है, वो अभी उतने पूरे राजत्व में आया नहीं है. It is not fully come into his kingship, and merely there is an influence, has to act upon them as an influence rather than by its sovereign right of direct action. Its direct action becomes very important. I'll read the sentence again from the beginning. Very, very important for practical this thing. The psychic is our inmost being and supports all the others, mental, vital, physical, but it is also much veiled by them and has to act upon them as an influence rather than by its sovereign right of direct action. Its direct action becomes normal and preponderant. Preponderant का मतलब होता है dominating. कोई और subtle shade of difference होगा meaning में, but general meaning of the word preponderant is dominant. Its direct action becomes normal and preponderant only at a high stage of development, natural course of evolution में, ठीक है, or by yoga. So either you accelerate the development of that psychic being through yoga, or that development has happened because you have had so many births and you have undergone so many experiences, and naturally you have gained a lot of experience, right? But its direct action becomes normal and preponderant only at a high stage of development or by yoga. Now, immediately the question should arise कि वो योगा जिसके बारे में सारा पढ़ रहे हैं, वो योगा कैसे प्रैक्टिस करना है, क्या करना, right? So again, जो भी आपको योगा सूट करता है, he does say karma yoga first, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, etc. Whatever form of communion that you are most naturally, which comes most naturally to you, communion with the divine, of connecting with the divine, it can be anything. Whatever comes most naturally to you, to do it with total intensity. It can be dhyana for somebody, it can be karma for somebody, it can be japa for somebody, anything, doesn't matter. Okay? Doing your work as perfectly as you can and thinking that, only by connecting to my true source can I do this work perfectly. And doing my work perfectly is a means of connecting to the source within me, to the source of everything, whatever form of yoga. Okay? ये बहुत लंबा विषय है, इसमें तो पूरा 1 hour, what is yoga, we can go on, but it is not the psychic being. अब वो particular जवाब दे रहे हैं जो disciple था उसको. It is not the psychic being which you feel gives you the intuitions of things to be or warns you against the results of certain actions. This is also very important because we can tend to think कि अगर ऐसा कुछ आ रहा है हमारे psychic being से आ रहा है, that is some part of the inner being. Sometimes the inner mental, sometimes the inner vital, sometimes it may be the inner or subtle physical Purusha. The inner,
अनमोल भाई, can you please explain this properly? ये पूरा जो है ना
हाँ
difference between inner और ये inmost, because
हाँ
they confuse हो रहा है मेरे को.
हम्म.
If you in the sense कि symptomatically कैसे जाना चाहिए बाहर में.
It's not so easy. It is not the psychic being which you feel gives you the intuitions of things to be or warns you against the results of certain actions. That is some part of the inner being. Sometimes the inner mental, sometimes the inner vital, sometimes it may be the inner or subtle physical Purusha. You're saying how to distinguish between the inner being and the inmost being.
How do you know that this comes from there and this,
See,
like how Sri Aurobindo is pointing out to this
see,
gentleman?
one of the that I can't say. That how do you know that आपका वो जो आ रहा है वो inmost being से नहीं आ रहा है? Maybe you are living deeper within your. ये तो एक particular case to case basis है. This is a reply to a gentleman. ठीक है? You cannot directly apply this to yourself. What you can do is you can try to find out कि अब वो ये ना कि मैं कितना अंदर हूं अपने कॉन्शियसनेस की गहराइयां हैं. हाउ मच विद इन माई सेल्फ एम आई, राइट. साइकिक बीइंग का एक जो लक्षण होता है वो होता है शुद्ध अहैतुकी भक्ति. ओके, तो शुद्ध अहैतुकी का मतलब है, अहैतुकी मतलब मोटिवलेस, दैट व्हेन यू स्टार्ट फीलिंग लव फॉर द डिवाइन simply because he is he and you are you, and therefore you cannot help it, that is a sign of the psychic consciousness. If this kind of consciousness has started becoming dominant in you, that means that the psychic being has started becoming dominant. This is one of the clearest signs of the psychic being. Shuddha ahaituki bhakti. This is a phrase used by Sri Aurobindo only. I am copying from him. Is that clear? अच्छा, अंदर जाना कैसे है? One of the simplest ways is नाम जपा is one of the simplest ways, let's say. या गीता के श्लोकों का reading. Any Sanskrit text actually, if you read, संस्कृत ऐसी language है, you will start. I mean, ऐसे तो नहीं, मतलब कोई literature कालिदास का पढ़ने से तो maybe it won't happen so much. हालांकि that will also come. That is also coming from the inner being only. But any kind of simple prayer, stotra recitation, japa, any kind of nama japa, mantra japa, etc. It is a means of going within. Nama japa opens the inner consciousness. For example, Sri Aurobindo का ये exact sentence है. So, अंदर कैसे जाना है? One of the simplest ways is taking the name of the divine. Very simple, outwardly, superficially looks very simple and innocent, but a very powerful means of going within oneself. Reading these kind of books, when concentration has become developed, then to, I mean, you close your eyes and you try to go within, and simply by closing your eyes, there is a natural movement to go within. ये बहुत लंबा हो जाएगा. I mean, ये इसका subject नहीं है इस class का right now, but I mean,
हाँ नहीं ठीक है. If you can elucidate the difference between ये, because Sri Aurobindo uses
elucidate the difference between inner and inmost.
हाँ नहीं, inner, inmost and even outer, क्योंकि इसी outer mind बोलते हैं तो वो physical mind, sense mind हो गया, फिर inner mind हो गया, फिर mind inner.
Outer, देखो very simple. Outer is the बहिर्मुखी, ठीक है? Okay. अच्छा, inner का जैसे मैं आपको एक चीज बताता हूँ. अगर आप let's say जपा करोगे, what you will start finding is कि the flow of your thought current which was till now going outward, वो एक point पे आकर के reverse हो जाता है through the power of the japa, and it starts going within. आप अंतर्मुखी होना शुरू हो जाते हो.
Okay, now the thing is clear to me. Inner and outer. Outer is bahishmukhi and bahirmukhi, and inner is antarmukhi. So if your consciousness is turned outwards, then your outer mind, outer vital, and outer physical will operate.
Yes.
If your consciousness is turned inwards, inner mind, inner
your
vital.
consciousness is turned inwards, na? So all the time, basically, you are looking towards the divine and kind of waiting for his adesh or waiting for his indication to do what is needed to be done. Basically, you are in a state of waiting upon his will. ठीक है? जिसको गीता में एक फ्रेज में बोलते हैं सर्वारंभ परित्यागी. वो थोड़ा एक हायर स्टेज है, but basically the state of looking within towards the guidance, towards the divine guidance for, deciding what is to be done. आउटर में क्या है? आप बस एंगेज्ड हो और आप उसके अंदर खो गए. You are lost in the outer activity.
But you can remain both, no?
You can remain both, but the aim both से बोध से तात्पर्य एक्चुअली ये है, योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि
हाँ,
जिसको बोलते हैं ना, व्हाट इट मीन्स इज, शिव अरबिंदो सेज कि जो योगी है, जो साधक है, उसको एक फोर्ट की तरह, किला बना करके, लिटरली ही शुड live within himself. He should live within his inner being and from there he should act. तो naturally उसकी external इंद्रियां और ये सब organs they will function, but he is seated within in his inner being. Live within. That is what he says.
but isn't that most natural state for, like, right now we all are listening to you, right?
हाँ,
The
there is some kind
activity,
of inwardness in everybody right now. थोड़ा सा एक
it
inner mood, a kind of sort of inner state of consciousness, inwardness is there, would be expected to be there in all the attendees right now. Yes.
not only right now, but हम कुछ सीख भी रहे
Yes,
हैं.
correct.
So there is this inner, you are in
Correct.
that, always
Correct.
in that perpetual witness state, and at the same time,
See, the very fact that we have come to, Sri Aurobindo's books and all are not so easy to read also. It requires great perseverance, concentration, dedication. The very fact that we are gathering together to read it in a group of 8 or 9 people, it shows that the inner consciousness has developed to some degree. And we are, living matlab good part of our life, if not good part, at least a decent part of our life in our inner consciousness. That is why we are able to attempt such a relatively deep study, right?
now you're actually, somehow the Sanskrit words have brought this clarity to
तो
me.
हमेशा ही होता है, संस्कृत वर्ड से ही क्लैरिटी
ये
आती
इनर आउटर में आज तक नहीं समझता था इतना क्लियरिटी से. अब
है. Correct.
आज अंतर्मुखी और बहिर्मुखी बोला तो वहां एकदम ट्यूबलाइट समझ गया. थैंक यू सो मच. एंड नाउ आई नाउ कैन टेल यू द डिफरेंस बिटवीन साइकिक एंड नाउ. अभी समझ में आ रहा है ये थोड़ा.
Right. So
Yeah,
we'll
thanks a
just
lot.
finish this paragraph. It's already
Yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No, no problem. Please don't. The inner being, inner mind, inner vital, inner or subtle physical knows much that is. नहीं, इसमें फिर अगली बार जाते हैं, बेटर है कि because this is a, we'll begin from here. The inner being यहाँ से करेंगे.
Maybe we can recap this whole paragraph. ये बहुत
हाँ, better है.
letter is very
We
key
should not
letter.
hurry into this. This is,
नहीं
I mean,
जरा भी नहीं.
absolutely, क्या बोलना चाहिए, such precious psychological
हाँ.
knowledge. We should not hurry in this.
नहीं इसको पूरा पचाना है, मुंह में ही पचाना है. बाद में अंदर एसिमिलेट करना.
And it will take some digesting. Maybe
Yeah.
the recording may need to be heard once or
Yes.
twice for deeper assimilation.
Yeah.
Let's be quiet for a minute before we close.